Thinking Aloud. Conversations on the leading edge of knowledge and discovery with psychologist Jeffrey Mishlove.
Late 70, friends in the CIA began to send me material about a man named Leonid Vasiliev, who was a physiologist working in then Leningrad, now St. Petersburg. And he asked a question which I had begun to think about, and that was, is this an electromagnetic phenomenon? And he had done he was a very good researcher, and he'd done a lot of very meticulous stuff, putting people down into caves and into Faraday cages inside of caves to eliminate electromagnetic radiation. And he had very systematically eliminated the EM spectrum until he got down to ELF, extreme low frequency, 3 to 300 hertz. And he said, that's the only part of the EM spectrum that's left, but the only way to test that would be to put somebody in a submarine. And he went to Admiral Gorshkov, the father of the Soviet Blue Water Navy, and Gorshkov wasn't interested. And so I read this. As it happened, I was flying up to Groton, Connecticut to launch a submarine. And I flew up on John Warner, who was then Secretary of the Navy's plane, and on the plane also was Hyman Rickover, who was the father of the nuclear navy, and you couldn't serve on a nuclear submarine or a nuclear ship at all without his personal okay. I mean, absolutely unprecedented in the Navy, before or since. Anyway, and I asked Rickover if I could go aboard one of the boomers, these big missile submarines that go down for months at a time, and run this series of experiments that I want to do, the associational one, to test this hypothesis that Vasiliev had brought up. Is this an EM phenomena? And he said, well, let me get back to you. And he called me about a week later, and he said, you know, it's a really interesting experiment, but if I were to do it, Senator Proxmire, who was then a senator from Wisconsin.
Yes, my state.
Yes, who was giving out what he called the Golden Fleece Award for misuse of government funding. He'll hear about it, and it'll cause a lot of hoo-ha in the media, and I just don't need that, so I'm sorry, Stephen, but I'm not going to do it.
Parenthetically, I might mention, as being from Wisconsin, I wrote to Proxmire on behalf of Puthoff and Targ years later at SRI, and talked about my interest in parapsychology and asked him, are you going to award the Golden Fleece Award for this work? And
I've never heard that.
Yes, he wrote me back a letter. It is in the archives now from the remote viewing research in which he praised that work.
Ah, well, there you go.
And wished me a lot of success in my career in parapsychology.
I had never heard that story. Well, in any case, Rickover was afraid of getting the Golden Fleece Award.
Yeah, many people were intimidated.
This is 1970.